Welcome back to the Garth Riley Show. We're speaking with Karie today about her story, one person's story that has gone through the family court system and has found out that in the case of, in her case, we're talking about assets, we're talking about impugning income, we're talking about family responsibility office. So let's cover off all that. In the first segment, we talked about the issue about him being self-employed. Now there are assets, and what does that amount to?
Well,
not the amount, but
yeah.
How does that get dispersed?
He's self-employed, and when I met him, what he actually claims is that he had $60,000 into his first property. We, together over the 18 years, gained 2 other properties here locally, a vacation home, 2 boats, Sea-Doos, all kinds of assets, which he now claims belonged to him because I was a stay-at-home mother. I did run a daycare out of my home. The money went back into the home. I also ran around doing everything for the business I was ever asked. But he claims because he got the paycheck, he paid for these things. We're common law. What you pay for is yours, is what I keep getting from him. What I paid for is mine. So all of these assets will actually show the courts that he's making more than he claims he's making. So hopefully they will impugn an income on him, which they can do. They have the ability, the judge, to say, you make this much money, you're lying to us.
So now they impugn an income they impugn him, and now he has to pay, let's say. So what happens if the court, in your case, which is less than 5% of the cases, in this case, 2 years later, you're now going to trial?
We are going to trial.
You had said that, and some of the pre-work that we did on the show was that, many times that that there was delays that were caused by a spouse that didn't want to, or former spouse, a common law partner that didn't want to go ahead.
My ex-spouse did not want to go to court, so there were a bunch of adjournments. First, we went for a case conference where he had originally agreed to pay a certain amount of child support. After that case conference, he decided he wasn't going to pay that amount of child support. So after a few months of me living in my sister's guest room and having nothing, my lawyer decided to go to emotions court for emergency support. Now it's been almost 2 years and I still haven't gotten the emergency support. He did actually pay one time, 2 days after I'd had a child, not his. 2 days after I'd had my baby and was still in the hospital, he decided in court to get an adjournment to go on a vacation. He would pay the 5 months that he owed in child support. My lawyer had him write the check to their firm in trust, and I owed it to them, so they kept it. So I really didn't get any of it. The child support went straight into my lawyer's pocket. And
now they're suing
after that, it's been 8 months, and he hasn't paid any of it. The Family Responsibility Office is supposed to go after people. Now he's self-employed. They can't garnish his income. They can't take anything out of his paycheck because he doesn't get one. They've tried to take away his driver's license. He took the FRO to court and won against them to keep his driver's license, claiming that he couldn't afford to not have his vehicle when he runs a business where other people drive the vehicles and he runs most of it from his office. Plus, we have a 17-year-old son that could drive him anywhere he needed to go. So he went in and cried to a judge when I wasn't there against the FRO, and then the judge told him now that we're going to court in November, he only needs to pay me $400 a month until the court date, nothing all the way back to when we separated, 2008, September 30th, until the court date. So I've gotten $800 in 8 months for my daughter, who's in competitive dance, who costs me $10,000 a year just in dance alone.
You made an offer.
Yes, I've actually made 2 offers to settle. The first one was made by my lawyer, and the lawyers go extreme. They wanted the world. And I said, I don't want all of this. I just want to be able to live. And she was like, oh, you have to ask for everything because they only give you part of what you asked for. And so obviously he just said no. His counter offer to settle was for 0. He just sent back an offer saying, I'll settle for nothing, and you can have nothing, and I'll have everything. And obviously that's not an offer to settle. I came up with a second offer by myself because now I'm representing myself. My lawyer actually quit on me when I ran out of money, and her firm is now suing me for the rest of the money that I owe them.
This is not uncommon, by the way. This is not uncommon. I've heard this a number of times already, that the lawyers fail to get the money. They get them when the settlement comes through. The lawyers get paid first, and then because in your weakest position, and I don't understand how the lawyers can do this. It's ridiculous. The next part is they're going to sue you, and they know you have no money to do it, and they haven't finished the job.
I found on both sides of this case that the lawyers tell you everything you want to hear until you run out of money. And then they just walk away and say, thank you for what you gave me, and we'll get the rest by suing you. Because he's actually had one attorney quit on him as well. And he's being sued by that attorney. He's hired a second one, so obviously he's proven that he can pay the first one if he wanted to, but he thought he overcharged him, so he's decided that he doesn't want to.
We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about, you know, where does it go from here? You know, where does it go from here for you? And how do you make a go of it in light of everything? You've had to go on social assistance, and you have a new child, and you have the kids part-time or full-time. There's a whole story there. Let's talk a little bit about a background of that to understand you know, what's on the table here and what's being ignored. Again, in this case, it looks like the family court isn't really able to have any bite, unfortunately. And wonder what it'll be like when you go to trial. We'll be right back with more of Karie's story.